Hey guys, this is Juan with the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, letting you know that this episode is brought to you by San Marcos Mexican Restaurant, located right here at 2301 Southwest 59th Street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Check them out as they have weekday specials Monday through Friday. And then don't forget $5 house margaritas and $2 tequila shots on Wednesdays. It's the perfect medicine to get you over that hump day, frozen or on the rocks. Margaritas, Wednesdays, San Marcos Mexican Restaurant. Don't forget to let Abel know that the Cine-Men Movie Podcast sent you to get an additional 10% off your entire purchase. Great food and even better customer service. San Marcos Mexican Restaurant. It's the only dine-in restaurant of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Want a piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do? You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Happy Monday, moviegoers. Welcome to another episode. Welcome to episode 212. Welcome from dusk till dawn. And welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew, the fellas. Edward?
Hey, what's up, folks?
How you doing on this fine fall evening?
Man, I'm tired and I have a migraine, but
Man,
it is what it is.
You know what? That is the kind of duty that we like to see. Tired, migraine, but the man still takes time to sit, and we're going to talk vampires here today on a brand new episode. You know, never a dull moment, never a rerun. They're not always live like this. You know this one potentially is not live.
This one may be older than some of our viewers out there. You never know.
But you know what? I'm doing fantastic. Life happens. It has been a crazy week, and don't get me wrong. You know, things are always not what they seem. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what day we have to record these on. We make sure that you guys have a brand new episode every single Monday night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be joined by young Gregory a little bit later on. Life has happened to him as well. So, but man, I'm excited. This is a movie that I feel like is a long time coming for us to review.
Oh
and
yeah.
It has been like a long time in the pot. You know, this movie has been back there just sitting and spewing and simmering. And it's just one of those movies that I don't know why we've never touched it, at all. But I'm glad we get to talk about it today.
Same.
A look back, guys, if you want to listen to last week's episode. Last week we talked all about Pearl, a brand new A24 horror movie, which is still currently in theaters. Go listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts at. Anchor, Spotify, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Stitcher, and thanks to the Prescribed Films Network, the PFPN. So go check us out, www.theprescribedfilmsnetwork.com. Social media, if you guys want to follow us on social media, hit us up on the facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, Instagram/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Twitter is at Cine-Men405. And then the easiest and fastest way to get to us is the email bag. I didn't read any emails last week, but we're going to get to some today. CINEMEN921@gmail.com. So that's Cine-Men921@gmail.com. And we will dig into the email bag. So we also have a brand new top 5 about a director that we haven't talked about really at all. We haven't done a lot of his movies at all here at the podcast, so should be fun. So I can't wait. Got a little movie news for you, not too much, but we'll definitely dig into that as well. If you guys are also a big follower of the show, you'll also know that we are sponsored by the great Rodeo Cinema, located right here at 2221 Exchange Avenue, right here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City's exclusive nonprofit art house and cinema with 2 historic locations offering a variety of film, music, live events. Learn more at www.rodeocinema.org or check them out on the Instagram, Rodeo Cinema Foundation. They had a uh, nice little double feature of X and Pearl. So you can go watch those at your Rodeo Cinema locations, either or the 2 locations that are here in Oklahoma City. So, and then, if you need to learn more, if you want to get tickets online, just go to www.rodeocinema.org for all the information you need. Again, it's the only movie theater that we go check out movies, and it's the only movie theater that we've done live events at. So, we got more live events coming up soon. Those are always fun episodes. So, getting ready to get into that as well. Some movie news, and we'll kind of talk about some of the stuff that's going on out there right now. I wanted to bring this up before I forget about it, but we're almost to October, and no reshoots or cancellations have been added to The Flash, which is good news. So it looks like this movie is still going to be greenlit, still going to happen, no matter what's really going on with Ezra Miller. What do you think? Do you have any hopes for this movie at all, or you think it's not going to be released?
I think it's going to be with no reshoots, no cancellations this far so far at least. I don't think they're going to cancel it. I think they are going forward with it. Personally, I don't know anything, so I could be very wrong. But I mean, I think the movie is going to be good, despite whatever BS he's on. I don't think that should necessarily take from the movie. I do think, however, after this movie is like shown, I think their partnership with him should cease. I know it's probably already ceased, but like, you use the dude in the series. I've never seen the series, so I don't know how good it is, but use the dude in the series if you want to move forward with Flash, or pick
But
up another actor. There's
also
all
the
kinds
good
of
thing.
Flashes.
Yeah, that's also the good thing about the Flash is you have the paradox, you have anything, a reset timeline, a reverse timeline. They could literally do whatever they wanted. I don't know if you've been keeping up with trailers, but one of the latest Black Adam trailers shows the historic Justice League team in the beginning of the trailer.
Oh, nice.
Of Black Adam talking about what came before him.
Yeah.
Do you read any into that? Like, do you think that's a show for something that's about to happen, or do you think it's just them paying homage to what came before, literally the Black Adam film?
Right now, I think it's paying homage with a possibility. Because if I was Warner Brothers, I am staking, like, I would do my best to try and get Henry Cavill back. I would do my best to go ahead and keep going forward with Robert Pattinson and build off those two right there. Like multi-movie contracts, build off both of those and go from there. You've got one that's already cemented, has multiple movies. I understand some of them have been Justice Leagues and all that. I get that. If you want to bring Jason Momoa in, I think strong character as well. Gal Gadot, I think she's proved herself. But, build off those four for sure, and kind of go from there. And whether they do that, whether they don't, I'm not in their team whatsoever. I don't even clean their urinals, so there's that. But yeah,
I wanted to wait, and I was hoping young Gregory would have joined us for this portion of movie news, because I really wanted to see his live interaction or his live reaction of this. But the top box office news and the top box office grossing for the weekend, and
Uh-huh.
this is just Friday to Sunday or
Right.
Thursday to Sunday. So the number one movie in America right now is Don't Worry, Darling, the
Okay.
new Florence Pugh movie. I
Yep.
knew that was probably going to happen, but it opened up with $20 million opening.
That's not bad.
The Woman King in week number two, $11 million.
Okay.
The number third movie in America right now, $10 million. The re-release of Avatar. The re-release of Avatar, $10 million. And it doesn't help that James Cameron put a teaser of the beginning scene of Avatar 2 at the end of this movie.
That
So he
okay.
is doing whatever he can. Avatar is still the number one movie of all time at the box office. So it's dethroned Endgame. And I just I wanted to see Craig's reaction.
Bro,
So
it's just because he's cheap on that shit, man. He keeps re-releasing this. This is the third or fourth time now. This
yeah.
dude keeps re-releasing this, and it's just like, if your movie was that damn good, and
Dude, dude,
I know it's that damn good. Don't get me
it
wrong,
made 10 million in its re-release this past weekend.
but it's only because of that teaser. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some people still probably was like, you know what? I want to see it one more time before the new one comes out.
And it was an IMAX release. So it is one of those movies that you have to like if you've never seen it on IMAX, like it is one of those movies that's just death defying on IMAX.
But
Uh
I feel like now it's a fucking cop out to go ahead and keep on.
the number 4 movie Barbarian with $4 million, Pearl with $1.9 million, See How They Run with 1.9 million, Bullet Train with 1.8 million, DC Super Pets 1.8 million, and still in the top 10,
My boy.
Top Gun Maverick with 1.6. It's $1.6 million this past weekend, and it's been out for 19 weeks.
It's calming down. It's
Yeah,
calming down a
so
lot
far,
because that's number.
it's made a $712 million at the box office.
Dang. Oh, domestically.
Yeah, just U.S. wise.
Dang.
Yeah,
It's calming down though. But I mean, like, see, don't get me wrong. I'd rather something like that keep going than something like Avatar getting re-released, 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 It's cheap. It's cheap. It's cheap. I
so
guess. But dang,
um,
okay.
there's some early Oscar predictions, um,
Yeah.
like best cinematography, best sound. Top Gun Maverick is getting some notches. The new Marilyn Monroe movie Blonde, I believe,
Oh yeah, yeah.
is getting ready to hit Netflix this. I think it's this weekend.
Yeah.
Um, that should be pretty interesting. Um, I guess that's really it. There's not a lot going around in some stuff. The Munsters reboot, the Rob Zombie movie. I guess that's getting ready to come
Yeah.
out too. You have any interest in that? Are you gonna check that on
I
Netflix?
do. I do. Yeah, I will. Just it's been quite a while since they've had a adaptation of that. If I'm not mistaken, what I think 90s,
I don't know if they
and
had
that
anything in the
was
'90s. I know there's that '60s show. That's the most
yeah.
popular thing. Um,
I want to say, huh?
but yeah, other than that, I think it's pretty funny. Reported by Slash Film, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was the horror standard that Ridley Scott aimed with Alien. Interesting. I never would have saw those two movies getting thrown in there together, but
Honestly,
it is what it is, I guess, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um,
man,
but this episode, guys, is also brought to you by CDR Electronics here at 1604 West I-240 Service Road in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Tablets, Apple products, iPhones, cell phones, games, movies, whatever you need, they have it. They have everything you need for your electronic needs. Check them out at their two locations, but the main one here in Oklahoma City is 1604 West I-240 Service Road in Oklahoma City. And always let them know that the Cine-Men movie podcast sent you. Um, So yeah. But let's get into some recent watches. Ed, do you have anything that you want to recommend or that you got to check out over the past week?
Yeah, man. So stumbled upon one night my wife watching the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix.
I've heard a lot about that. Did you guys get to
Um,
finish it?
I have not. She has. I am on episode 6 out of 10. Like about to start episode 6 out of 10. So far, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I watched a little bit with her, and then I kind of left and was like, okay, I got to watch this myself. I was like, do you mind rewatching some of it? She's like, no. She's like, it's been interesting, so no. She's like, all right, what's up? But yeah. So this thing is nuts, man. Like
I know
the
a lot of
stuff it
people.
details.
A lot of people are saying don't eat while you watch Dahmer. It's like super super gross, intense.
It's got its
Um,
parts, yeah.
Craig's joined us now here, guys. For everybody listening, audio version.
What up,
Um,
fools?
uh,
Yeah, Dahmer's pretty wild.
I only
It
got to see
is.
episode 1. Did you, Craig? Are you caught up? Did you knock it out?
I tried to knock it out. I'm on like 5.
Okay.
Okay, so me and you are the same.
You
Me
guys
and
are
you
about the same. If you guys wouldn't mind, go ahead and talk a little bit about Dahmer, Ed, and then finish your recent watches, and then that'll lead into to Craig's if you guys want.
Yeah. So it starts out with, him getting arrested in
it shows
91.
It shows the minute the ending of his run, basically.
Yeah.
It kind of shows the ending where he gets caught and gets arrested in episode 1, and it's like
Kind of backtracking in a way.
it's like it starts the end and then kind of works its way from episode 2. It kind of shows how it gets to that point.
Dude.
And man, yeah, I agree.
It's
I thought, just my initial thoughts when you hear a serial killer, you don't think he's living in an apartment with a bunch of other people.
Where's Johnny?
Adley, I'm on the podcast. You want to step out? Go outside.
But where's Johnny?
He stepped outside. So yeah, but you don't think that he's going to be living in an apartment with multiple people stashing bodies that are decaying in his fridge.
Well, not only in his fridge, in like a 35-gallon drum with acid in it,
Yeah,
with like
kind of decomposing the skin off the bones.
parts and stuff like that. Not everywhere, but here and there throughout his apartment.
All he had was beer in his fridge and the head, as you see.
And I mean, I feel like the lady next door with the 2 girls that finds the one 14-year-old that he claims is his boyfriend and is 19 and all that.
His first victim.
Yeah. Well, second. His first in his long run. It's the second one after the white dude that he spread throughout the yard.
Well, and after hearing, watching that scene, I was like, there's absolutely no way that it just goes down that way. And I looked it up, and the police officers, they let's be honest, they
failed.
Not failed. They trying to think of the word. They judged very harshly what they assumed was going on with him calling him his boyfriend and everything, and they kind of laughed it off. They didn't take any real measures to do so, and the judge was on paid leave, or not the judge, but the police officer. It's another failed system up around that time, and a failed police officer, to be honest. But I mean, the lady should have taken a little bit more than, if she felt something that was that wrong. It shows the real phone call that she placed in the show. It felt like she was just very accepting. Like she was trying to insinuate that she thought something more was going on, but she was just very accepting of the final.
It's
judgment.
kind of like, in my eyes, it's kind of like, okay, she says at that point, she says she's been calling for a few months because of the stench. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the stench from that covered barrel, as well as the head, frozen or not, as well as the head, and possibility of body parts, as well as like, dude didn't live that great. Like, he wasn't that dirty, but he definitely was not
that fish tank shown in the show. Obviously, the fish tank was dirty and everything. But yeah,
you know
how you go a year with a stench in his get out of jail free passes, telling them that he got meat and the fridge went bad, but there's still a smell throughout a year.
Pork chops.
Yeah, that's but hey, it is what it is. Like they said on the show, it wasn't a very good neighborhood, so I'm sure a lot of people just didn't really care around that area.
And I mean, that just is kind of like you said, the judgment thing, because it's like, okay, what if this was, I don't know, the Village compared to, I don't know, the courts, what I mean? Like, just because the courts are kind of what they are, or known for and all that,
Yeah, if it was on the nicer side of town, they would have taken a little bit more, regardless of what the guy was or what they took his word for. Dollars at that.
At the same point, this dude. I mean, the cops. I don't know, man. There's a lot, but
Evan Peters knocks it out of the park again.
Oh yeah, dude. I seen him
in American Horror Story and all of those roles that he's been in. Dude just absolutely nails this type of role of like a crazed kind of
serial
killer.
I
mean, Dahmer's very different than his other roles, but dude, very underrated, honestly, as an actor.
What do you think about the contacts, for that matter?
I thought that was so weird. Like, because obviously you see it in the picture and you're like, oh, it's just them kind of doing it. But if he really did the contacts to add to what he was, that's insane. I'd be scared shitless.
What I've heard is a lot of stuff that has gone on, like with Evan Peters and his talking and how he's like pronouncing things and different stuff like that. He watched, I think, I don't know how many hours, but I know a couple hundred hours of just like videotapes over and over
Dahmer
that they have.
And,
just interviews and different stuff like that. So, I mean, that guy, I seen a picture that said that Evan Peters is collecting serial killer roles like Thanos
Infinity
collected.
Stones.
Yeah. I was just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Other than
Dahmer.
Ed, did you check anything else out, or is that the only thing you'd recommend to anybody?
Dusk Till Dawn, of course, or From Dusk Till Dawn, of course. Other than that, this week has kind of been a lot of sleeping and trying to do overnight shifts and stuff like that. But no, I definitely would. If you don't have somewhat, like if you can't handle a fear factor, don't watch it that well. But if you can handle fear factor, feel free to watch Dahmer.
I feel like there's several factors to take into account with this show. Like if you feel uncomfortable at any point in the first episode, I think that's your call to stop. Because it's not going to get any better. We'll put it that way.
Oh no, it gets so much more grotesque and just gruesome. It's not even funny.
Craig, what about you? You check anything out this week?
Yeah, I completely binged the Cyberpunk Edge Runner anime.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I heard that was good.
It is pretty good. If you've played the video game, you'll kind of get a little bit more background of what the show is. But I think you can take the show for what it is without playing the game. Checked out From Dusk Till Dawn. Checked out Dahmer. Checked out, obviously, College and NFL. Man, I know there was another couple movies or shows that I checked out. I just, off the top of my head, I can't think about them.
It's been kind of a slow. I mean, honestly, it feels like a slow week for me. But I got to watch a lot of content, really, at least more than I have in the past few weeks. After last week's episode, I checked out the first 4 episodes of 1883, a prequel to the Yellowstone series. If you're a fan of Yellowstone, I think you'll really enjoy 1883. Checked out Dawn of the Dead for a recent episode of Friday the 14th podcast. I love gangster flicks, so I checked out King of New York with Lawrence Fishburne and Christopher Walken. Really good movie. It's the first time I ever checked it out. I watched the first episode of Andor, caught up with She-Hulk, and then I watched, of course, From Dusk Till Dawn. And for some reason, I don't know, I think I'm going to get ready to just binge the entire Harry Potter franchise again. but I watched Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone today.
Daddy,
Other than that, everything else was pretty pretty good, pretty chill.
Oh,
If I had to recommend anything, I would probably recommend honestly, From Dusk Till Dawn is free. It's on Pluto TV. 1883. If you have Paramount Plus, 1883 is on Paramount Plus. So,
did have one more thing. This ties into more movie news or anything like that. Did y'all see the Weird Al Yankovic trailer?
I did.
I have not.
Dude, that thing was kind of cool.
Looks good.
Who's
playing him?
Daniel
Radcliffe. Apparently, he's seen him do some karaoke, and he was just like, "That's my guy." He's like, "I need to have him."
Craig, you missed movie news as well, but I just want to let you know that Avatar made $10 million this past weekend. On its
Number three.
Number 3.
You know how many people I saw on Twitter talking about, bro, I bought a ticket in a movie I've already seen before. People are going to it thinking it's the new movie. Like, that's where they're getting half their money. So
apparently it's got a teaser of the new movie in it.
I don't care.
I'm just like, that's cheap,
if
dude.
It wasn't for the hype. Avatar's the last movie on my list I want to go see.
Craig's like, if it wasn't an episode, even then I may not go watch it.
Dude, I despise Avatar. Because honestly, it's not even that good. All right, let's just cut. It's not even that good. All right, it's like, it's all right. It's epic. Yes, it is an event, so to speak, as a film. But come on, they tangle up their hair to come on now.
We'll get to it. This episode is also brought to you by OKC Soda Company. It's the craft soda company of Oklahoma with super unique flavors like strawberry shortcake, blueberry acai, made with pure cane sugar and all natural flavors. You guys can check them out at okcsodacompany.com, or you can also check them out your local Crest, Pruitt Foods. Anywhere you need to get the soda,
Abby,
it's available.
Podcast. You cannot be
so check them out. Your local Crest Foods right here in Oklahoma City has them, and Pruitt Foods. So
it's from the moon.
The root beer is amazing.
Will you go in there, please?
Oklahoma City, OKC Soda Company. It's the only beverage of the Cine-Men movie podcast.
Will you bring me an aspirin and a water?
But now, guys, it is time for one of our favorite segments.
Please.
The top 5.
Yeah, that's fine.
Before we get to the top 5, guys, I just want to let everybody know, if you watched last Wednesday's episode of Friday the 14th podcast, or if you follow us on social media, you will know that the link that you go to listen to our show on Spotify, Anchor, Podbean, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, that page that you can go to and listen to all of our stuff will now be the official audio home of Friday the 14th podcast. So you'll be able to watch Friday the 14th podcast right here on Wednesdays on Amos Wall Productions YouTube channel. But if you want to listen and download the podcast audio-wise, you now have to go to our audio station, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, and you can now download Friday the 14th through the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. And the first horror movie that you'll be able to download will be The Fly. Jeff Goldblum. It will be October the 5th will be the first episode that you can check us out on. So again, audio same or visual same thing. You can watch right here on Amos Wall Productions. But if you want to listen and download the audio version of the podcast, Just search the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, and you will find Friday the 14th. It drops on Fridays. So audio version every Friday, Cine-Men Movie Podcast. But now it's time to get into the top 5. Today we're talking, a director that honestly, maybe we could even use a word underrated. Robert Rodriguez. He's got a lot of movies. If you guys are Spy Kid fans, he is at the helm of the Spy Kid movies. So we're talking our top 5 Robert Rodriguez films. I'm going to go through some honorable mentions. If anybody has any, go for it. My honorable mentions are going to be Planet Terror, From Dusk Till Dawn, and then the official honorable mention, The Faculty. Anybody else have any honorable mentions?
I'm surprised that's an HM for you. Yeah. Sin City 2. Spy Kids 3 as well, just because like that one was a little crazy, but pretty funny nonetheless. So
number 5.
What are we going for?
I'll start. Number 5 for me is going to be the original Sin City from 2005. I don't know. I didn't know how I would like this movie, but it's a crime noir film, thriller, a little bit of suspense. It's one of those movies that's directed by 2 people. Frank Miller helped write it. Robert Rodriguez directed it. And then you had Quentin Tarantino as special guest director. But man, just the all-star cast, Bruce Willis, Clive Owen, Mickey Rourke, Jessica Alba. It just feels like a down cut nitty-gritty graphic novel film, and which is exactly what it is. I'm glad it was rated R, and I'm glad they were able to do the things that they wanted to do. I feel like if you can watch Sin City and enjoy it, then you'll like 90% of Robert Rodriguez's other things. So that's what I'm going to start my number 5 out at, is Sin City. Ed, what was number 5 for you?
Spy Kids 4. Mainly just very cool, kind of just getting to revisit the original 2 characters at least, with
Junie and Carmen.
Yeah, but yeah, getting to revisit them.
Is that the one with the big thumbs as bad guys, the henchmen?
No, that's
OG number right 1. There. That's OG.
Numero uno.
Flukes Fluglies.
Flukes Fluglies. The fucking ugly. But nah, man, just getting to revisit them was cool. So definitely, if you haven't seen that and you've seen the other 2 or 3 or even just the original, go see 4 or whatever,
Craig, number 4 for you?
Number 5 for me.
Number 5 for you, I'm sorry.
Is going to be... We'll go with Once Upon a Time in Mexico.
Yes.
Good
movie.
Man, it's been a long time since I've seen it, but the way that they kind of put you in that culture with God, let me find it. Sorry. They put you, Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe. Jeez, maybe this was too low on my list. There's a lot of people. The way that he does this very well in a lot of his movies, the Hispanic heritage in his films is very well portrayed with the music, the scores, the costumes, the way that it's kind of shot with that orange grain film or kind of layer over the camera.
Oh yeah, his films are real grainy, which is like, if you're an old school film fan, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I honestly didn't even know this was one of his movies until I was looking at the top 5, and honestly, it's a movie that I think I should revisit sometime soon. But yeah, it's going to be my number 5.
I felt the same way. All the movies that I looked up today for Robert Rodriguez, I was like, damn. And then after watching From Dusk Till Dawn, I was like, I need to rewatch these. Number 4. It's really low. I can't hear it, by the way.
Is it? Okay. Go ahead, though. Go ahead.
Number 4 for me is going to be starring Mr. Young Danny Trejo himself, Machete. Number 4, that's going to be my number 4. It's outlandish, it's insane, it's completely balls to the walls. Danny Trejo, Michelle Rodriguez, Robert De Niro is the bad guy, Steven motherfucking Seagal, Cheech Martin, Jessica Alba. I mean, what else do you need in a Texas sized, heated, balls to the walls action film? You don't need anything else. It's so outlandish. It's fun. Machete from 2010, started off as just like, I think, a knockoff trailer in one of his other movies, and it turned into a full length feature film.
It was in Planet Terror.
Yeah. And I think it's a tremendous feat, and it's a tremendous film. It's just so much fun. Again, anytime we do a movie, we have to do a movie one day starring Mr. Steven motherfucking Seagal. So I don't know. It's just badass. It's just badassery, and it's so much fun. Movies like that probably get knocked, but you're sitting it just to watch and have fun.
But let's be honest. The cast that he's able to assemble in these movies.
Oh yeah, phenomenal. Yeah.
Like, and kind of going back through them, a lot of these are repeats with like Danny Trejo and Cheech Martin.
Yeah. Antonio Banderas, even in Spy Kids.
Yeah. It's
like,
and I didn't put that together until we were going through this list, but this dude has this is Adam Sandler for the Hispanics. All right. This dude got his crew, and he puts them in there.
Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, like the first time I think, and I'll get into it later, but the first time I think I seen Cheech Martin was Spy Kids. And then later on.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're definitely getting into that later.
And what not for me, though.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, you got to think that's 2001. I'm like 10, 11 years old. So I mean, literally, like,
you think it's gonna get better, and it just gets worse.
Well, no, after that, like, it does get better. Like,
you never seen Cheech Martin sitting in the love seat and the Love Rider and the car just go bouncing?
As a kid, you're like, man, this guy's pretty cool, and then you're like, oh, I should not be watching these other movies. Like, that's what I mean.
I mean, would I let a 12-year-old, 13-year-old watch the other ones? Probably not. No, I'd wait a few more years, but.
Yeah,
then I should. Yeah, you're right. I should not have been 9 watching Up and Smoke with my dad.
But I mean, hey, that's how the time was. We got introduced to some good cinema when we were younger, so that's what matters.
Each to their own, essay. Number 4 for me. Number 4 for me is Machete. Edward, what's number 4 for you?
I will go with Sin City, man. The directing of this, how it's kind of like that 2D comic book crime noir kind of deal is very cool. It was weird at first, but once I got kind of used to it, loved it, and I was ready to go get the second one and just pop it in and see what's going on with that one. And
then you're like, man, I should have just stuck with the first.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like the whole story, though. I do like the whole story. It's a tragedy from hell, It has its points to where it's a fantastic duo of films, for that matter, and then it's got its points where it's like, okay, this maybe should have been different, but okay. But I mean,
it's a good number 4.
Yeah, man.
Craig, what about you? Number 4?
We've talked about this multiple times. My number 4 is going to be The Faculty.
Nice.
I think to see that he was the director of that one completely blows my mind, because I never put 2 and 2 together. And especially with the way the other films are shot and made, you would never think this was a Robert Rodriguez film. So it's a classic kind of horror sci-fi movie for me. So it's my number 4.
Number 3.
Does that sound better?
Number 3 for me is going to be a movie that I'm like, you know what? I didn't know he directed it, but I want to go see it in the theater. So I got to check this out in the theaters, and I bought it on Blu-ray day number 1. Alita Battle Angel from 2019. Man, the only gripe I had about this movie is maybe it was like it felt 15 minutes longer than it should have been. But again, another stellar cast of somebody you don't expect to be in a Robert Rodriguez film. Christoph Waltz, Jennifer Connelly, Mahershala Ali. Beautiful CGI, cinematography, and the way it was just shot. Awesome fight scenes. And I don't know if this is based off of any kind of video game, but it was like really an original idea, like an original story. Yeah. I haven't seen anything like this since or before. So highly recommend it. This is one of those movies that we've had some emails in 2019 when we started year number 2 about, hey, you guys should do Alita Battle Angel. See everybody's thoughts, but maybe one day. But that's number 3 for me is Alita Battle Angel. Edward, number 3 for you?
Number 3 for me, and these next 3 can be kind of put in any direction for that matter. So there's that. But number 3 produced one of the greatest kids movie quotes of all time. Do you think God stays in heaven because he too lives in fear of what he's created? Spy Kids 2.
It's pretty dark for a kids movie.
Steve Buscemi too, man.
Yeah.
Like
looks good to me.
I mean, thought he was waving at me or something, casting a spell.
But you know, you've got the original family coming back, at least for that matter, and all that good stuff. It's crazy, you know, to have followed these guys on this whole entire journey from 1, 2, 3, and 4 for that matter. But yeah, you know, it's been very cool, and I can't wait till we actually get to maybe, I don't know, we'll see on that. Probably not. So,
Craig, number 3 for you, Craig.
Number 3 for me is going to be Sin City. You know, I think I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that this was one of the very first to kind of push that black and white when you didn't need to, especially this style of the noir black and white, kind of the old crime scene, you know, gangster type feeling when you're watching the movie, like Home Alone, when the guy is doing the shots and he turns the volume up, and yeah. But no, like you said, stellar cast. The movie itself is epic. It's excellent. It's just a good movie all around. So,
number 2 for me is going to be Once Upon a Time in Mexico. The hitman action crime thriller, the sequel from its first film. Antonio Banderas, Salma Hayek, Johnny Depp, Willem Dafoe. So it's just a fun action movie. You know, it's got its own twist on it and how things should be. Number 2 for a reason, and it kind of is a small spoiler of what number 1 is for me. So I won't get into it too much, but number 2, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Edward, number 2 for you.
Number 2 for me, we're going to go back to a movie you showed me, for that matter, when we were younger, The Faculty. You know, and I mean, this is probably the debut acting of Usher. This has Josh Hartnett, Elijah Wood, Jordana Brewster, for that matter. But I mean, I don't know, this film has a lot of cool elements to it, a lot of good stuff to it.
Good movie.
I mean,
Jordana Brewski?
Before she became the Buster's girlfriend and all that, so
part of the family.
Yeah, really good number 2. Craig, what about you? Number 2 for you?
I would put this number 1, but then I think my top 5 would be kind of a joke. But it does hold a special place in my heart because I watched this movie over and over again. I was going to be Spy Kids, man. Junie Cortez and Carmen, man, like that was childhood, dude. The whole tech gadgets and being a spy, and man, like you just thought that was the bee's knees growing up. And
the Happy Meal toys,
the Happy Meals, yeah, like you could go on and on. And
yep.
I mean, that movie was our James Bond as kids, you know, and because you thought James Bond was a little too much, it wasn't. You know, this was right there, directed for us, and as a child and as a little kid, I loved every minute of it. So can't watch it now; it's terrible, but loved every minute of it back then.
And you know what? We still have number one to be announced, but I'm surprised nobody yet has mentioned Shark Guy and Shark Boy and Lava Girl, whatever the hell that movie is.
No, there's a reason.
Number uno.
One.
Hey, as long as we got the one right. Number one for me is going to be the original to the sequel I just named, Desperado from 1995. It's really the movie that kind of put him on the map, unless you count El Mariachi, which is a not prequel, but it's almost like his
origin.
Yeah, kind of. But it's going to be Desperado's number one for me. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I really do think after today's episode, I want to somehow fit Desperado and Once Upon a Time in Mexico into some episodes sometime.
I highly agree.
Yeah, sometime this year, hopefully, maybe. It's already a packed. Guys, we have 90 days until 2023. How insane is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I just wanted to go ahead and say those two. Number two, Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Number one, Desperado. Edward, number one for you.
Man, you may think of it as a joke, but I do not personally. It's cool. I mean, this cast is stacked. Danny Trejo, Antonio Banderas. You've got friggin' Alan Cumming, Cheech Martin, Tony Shalhoub, George Clooney, Mike Judge. So it's cool, you know. Spy Kids, the original. I mean, a lot of it may be due to nostalgia. The last time I think I seen this was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Damn, so you had 3 Spy Kids movies on your list? Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Mexico?
No.
That's why. That's why.
That's going to be good, though. Yeah. I like those episodes where we have first-time watches.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you know, it's kind of funny because, like, didn't know that, you know, Carmen or Alexa Penavega, she's married to a dude from Big Time Rush. Don't even know who they are, to be honest, but I've heard of their name, so there's that. Daniel Sabara, you've heard of his wife, Megan Trainor. They've got a kid together, so that's pretty cool. You know, they've gone on to do a lot of different things.
Episode 212.5, we're reviewing Spy Kids.
I'm just saying, like, you know, these
here's the breakdown about everybody's life.
Gone to do nothing, but you know, like, yeah.
Alexa Vega, though. Hey.
But I mean, you know, he obviously wanted this to go somewhere and do something, so he got a lot of big people to go in this. And I mean,
he came to him and said, "Hey, if you want to be in my other movies, you got to be in the Spy Kid flick." And they were like, "All right."
Number one for you, Ed, is Spy Kids.
Was cool with it, so I mean, you know.
Craig, number one for you.
Number one for me is, and I just realized the mom in Spy Kids is in Sin City. Like, This dude literally, he is literally Adam Sandler. Just putting everybody in his movies. Number one for me is going to be Alita Battle Angel. It's a movie that I literally thought I was not going to like. I checked it out, and the tech, everything about it just kind of screams cyberpunk, actually, since we're talking about it. Kind of like the upgrades and everything going on, but like you said, tremendous cast. The movie's excellent. It is a little bit too long. The ending kind of, I'm not going to say sucked or was bad. It was flawed, maybe. But yeah, it's going to be my number one.
Awesome, guys. If you want to share your top 5 Robert Rodriguez films, go ahead and send us in those emails, CINEMEN921. Like I said, I didn't read any emails last week, but I'm going to read a few today. Just been a busy week, but it's time to get into it. Today we're talking about From Dusk Till Dawn with a January 19th, 1996 release day. IMDb currently has it at 7.2, Rotten Tomatoes at 62%, the Metascore is at 48%, while the Google users have it at 87%. With a budget of $19 million, it grossed a little over $60 million at the box office. Starring Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Juliette Lewis, Quentin Tarantino, Ernest Liu, Selma Hayek, Cheech Martin, Danny Trejo, Tom Savini, Fred Williamson, directed by Robert Rodriguez. And usually we have director talk about our favorite Robert Rodriguez film or director, but we just did our top 5.
I think we should do a Robert Rodriguez month.
Oh, dude,
there's a lot of movies in there.
Yeah, we would have to put Spy Kids in there just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, no doubt. I actually like skimmed through Planet Terror a while back. God, maybe we can stay away from that one.
Oh yeah, for sure. But two criminals and their hostages unknowingly seek temporary refuge in a truck stop populated by vampires with chaotic results. Or you can go it this way. I think this one kind of talks a little bit better about it, and it's almost like talking about the entire film in one. We can actually start getting into it. After a bank heist, brothers Richie and Seth Gecko plan to head to Mexico to evade arrest. At a motel, Richie kills their hostage, and their journey hits a hard spot. But just when things have gotten worse, the Fuller family shows up. Seth takes them hostage, and the five successfully cross the border. The five pull up to a bar called the Titty Twister, where Seth will meet his handler in the morning. When the moon strikes the toppest of the highest skies, the stripper and the workers turn to vampires, and the sole survivors must fight to save their lives.
I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't know any backstory about this movie. And when they hit the bar and Salma Hayek did her little change, bro, I was flipping the F out. I was like, is this still the same movie? Like, where did, like, was he like doing the movie and he's like, this ain't going to cut it. We got to do this to save the end of this movie. And they were just like fucking balls out.
Was this your first time full watch?
First time full watch. First time even knowing what this movie was about.
Nice. Oh, wow. Yeah. Nice. I was telling somebody today, I was like, yeah, I watched this for the first time. My dad took me to Blockbuster and picked up the VHS tape and looked at the back and he was like, oh fuck yeah, Cheech Martin. Went home. Cheech Martin was hardly in the fucking movie and he got pissed. But that's the first time I watched this movie, and honestly, it's been one of those classic 90s action horror flicks that kind of just stuck with me since. And we'll get into it, but it's always kind of a joy to have a little rewatch. Ed, what about you? Do you remember the first time you watched it compared to now?
Early 2000s. I'm talking like 03, 02, somewhere around there, like a long time ago. I think it was on TV or something like that, and I kind of just, I don't know. It was either DVD or TV, one of the two. But yeah, I thought it was awesome. You know, I liked vampires and was just like, all right, cool. And
I highly enjoyed the way the movie started off with the whole convenience store busting open with Quentin Tarantino getting his hands shot through. And you know what? You kind of forget about some of the greatness that George Clooney can deliver. And even in this high octane horror action movie, like George Clooney can nail some of these fucking parts. And I don't know if the movie would have highly survived this long-term ship without George Clooney being in the movie. But I just wanted to throw in that, you know, that opening convenience store scene was pretty epic.
I think,
and I want to throw in that Quentin Tarantino kind of pissed me off in this movie. Like, I don't know, I just didn't like him in it.
As Richie?
Well, I mean, that's the point. He's supposed to be that creepy bastard. You know?
No, it's not just that. Like,
okay.
I feel like Quentin Tarantino as an actor in this movie would just like, it didn't fit.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino as an actor is definitely not. There's a reason he's a director. Let's just say that, I think.
Okay. I agree with it.
He even in Reservoir Dogs, he is my least favorite character in Reservoir Dogs. You know, and it's just one of those things where he is, yeah. You know, and I agree, he did make you want to hate him in this movie, but I still feel the same way you do, Craig. I think I enjoyed his character in this, but I think they could have done okay maybe with somebody else. I don't know. What do you guys think? And well, this is probably the scene that made you start hating him really like this. What about the hotel scene where they have the older lady and, you know, Seth comes in and he's like, where's she at? And he has her on the bed and it kind of shows glimpses of what Richie did to her.
I think that's maniacal. Like he's crazy. He's from prison. Like that's not the part that I started hating him. I was just like, damn, this dude really crazy. And why is his brother George Clooney not like dumping his ass off somewhere? Because he's.
I was about to say like that. You kind of question, Seth's, understanding of his brother right there. And then, I don't, that's not necessarily, I'll agree. That's not necessarily the parts where I was just like, you know what, this guy is not, that was the parts where you're like, this guy's not right in the head. Like, what's wrong with this dude? And what's wrong with him for like practically vouching for his brother? Like, I get your brothers, but damn, man, like,
yeah,
for real.
At some point, you got to know, like, this dude's going to get me caught.
There's got to be a code right there. Exactly, man, So, yeah.
No, I started hating him and Juliette Lewis whenever she walked in.
Oh, what do you guys think of the cast of The Family? Harvey Keitel, Juliette Lewis, little Asian
I
boy.
like the dad. Yeah. I didn't like the kids.
No,
Ernest Liu.
He's never done anything since. This is the only movie he's really done. I think they should have picked somebody else other than Juliette Lewis, but I get her Southern Texas feel to it.
But she feels so stale. Like, as an actor, period, she's stale.
There was a couple of points I was all right with her, but I mean, overall, it was just like, there were a couple of parts with like that teenage angst of kind of like, I don't really want to be here, screw you kind of deal. But yeah, overall, it was just kind of too thick for that matter.
This movie came out, what, 91?
96.
96? There were so many other teenage actors that you could have got around that time that were... But it is what it is. It's a 30-year-old movie almost, so...
I mean, Ernest Liu, he is all right. And I don't know. He wasn't really like, dude, I've got to have that guy in that movie. It was just like, okay, he's in here, cool.
What's crazy and what really helped Quentin Tarantino's character for me, though, like I know I just said I didn't really like him, but what really helped his character for me was watching the Dahmer series, because he showed some of the same kind of tendencies. Like, he was very, he lured you in and was very sexual about a lot of stuff. He got very aroused by the thought of doing some of those things, which is what happens in Dahmer. And, that just kind of shows, like, when you're at that point, like, you're kind of, your head's just gone. Like, there's no thinking about anything. It's just, you're done. That's all you are, is a maniacal killer.
And this movie, honestly, the first 45 minutes, it's you're in and you're out. You're like, okay, the first 40 minutes, they already pick up the family. They're headed to Mexico. You have that intense scene where Cheech Martin plays the border patrol officer.
One of his many roles.
One of his many roles, and he comes up, and George Clooney even says it when the scene's over, like, damn, that was intense. And if you're watching it, even me watching it for like the 10th time, that scene was still intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do you guys? The chemistry, honestly, between George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino were actually kind of fun throughout the movie.
It was good.
Even when in the bathroom scene, he punches him and knocks him out because he called him. What do you call him? He called him crazy or called him a lunatic or something. And Richie just starts going off like, "Why are you calling me this?" And Seth is like, "Dude, you need to shut the hell up." And he knocks him out.
But she's sitting there. She's like, "I'm peeing. Do you mind?" I was like, God, I hate this fucking lady.
Shut the fucking door.
But when
that's what she plays this, I think she's just typecasted. She plays the same Southern redneck person in most of her movies, and I don't think that's her fault. Obviously, she looks the role perfectly. But yeah, I would agree with you about Juliette Lewis. They finally get to Mexico.
Yeah, when they get to the Tootie Twister, like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, this isn't just some regular bar. This is like legit way too much. It felt very Planet Terror, because in Planet Terror you have all the fireworks and flames and whatnot. But when Cheech is sitting there and he's like, "You got white pussy, you got but," he's like, "If you find cheaper," and I've heard Johnny say this line, and I was watching this movie at like 11 o'clock at night, just laying in bed, trying to keep quiet, have my headphones on, laying in bed watching it. And I start hearing the dude when he says that, and I just bust out dying because I've heard Johnny say it multiple times. Not like the whole thing, but he's like, the way that he says "fuck it," like "fuck you." I'm dying. It was so funny. So at that point, I'm like, okay, we're good. Let's get in there and get it going.
You like you said, when the vampire turn happens and you kind of see the twist, you're at like an hour and 20 minutes and you still have 45 minutes left of the film.
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what more could there be?
I almost felt like this movie, just kind of doing some not wrestling, some fantasy booking. I almost could have looked at this movie like, maybe what would it look like if it was just an action Western kind of movie and you had a big Quentin Tarantino shootout at the end and you didn't have the vampires.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the Robert Rodriguez directing, I was super excited for talking about the vampires and everything in between.
But it makes sense because the bar's on top of a Aztec kind of monument, and so
the temple.
The temple. Yeah. So you have that history of, maybe he had some childhood stories about some stuff like that down in the in Mexico with the Aztecs and everything, and that's kind of why he added it into this part of the story. Some childhood stories. So,
this is mainly like you go up to this bar and it's a biker bar, and all that.
Trucker and biker bar.
Right. And he's like, "You're not allowed. Your kind ain't allowed here." And he's just like, "My kind,"
Which when he whips out the Class 2 CDL for the RV, I'm sitting there like,
he got him.
You're losing me a little bit here because like it's so cheesy at that point.
I'm a truck driver.
Yeah, you go out there and look at the big old RV. I'm a truck driver. Here's my license.
But certified as a
Danny Trejo plays the dude who's just kind of there when you don't expect him to be there role very well. Like, I don't think there's anybody else that plays that role as good as he does in any kind of movie.
Man, I've got to say, like, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it really is a tale of two movies, with the first half being a heist kidnapping movie kind of, and then the second half being a horror slash
a Western horror bar shootout.
Yeah, and you know what? I got to pay tribute to the Evil Dead, because there's a lot of Evil Dead vibes in the way the vampires got killed.
Absolutely.
The practical effects, all the makeup was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there wasn't hardly any CGI used for a 1996 film. And when it was, I mean, it kind of looked a little.
It was sparingly, but
but they didn't need it. And I think the only time they used the CGI was with the bats, when the bats came in.
Well, and when they died and disintegrated.
I would probably say her head change.
Yeah.
Like that small split second from, we've got her here. Now we've got her in makeup and the effects.
But let's not skip too far before I get this out. You were talking about George Clooney nailing this role and how good he could be. When he's sitting there and he's passing out those drinks, and him and the dad are sitting there having that conversation, and he's like, "Don't you get it? Like, you've already won." And he like that scene was a damn good scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And speaking of dialogue between Harvey Keitel and George Clooney, what about the scene where where George Clooney's like, "Hey, you see my brother back there looking at your daughter? You like the way he looked at your daughter?" And he's like, "No, I don't." And he's like, "Exactly. You help me get to Mexico, you're free."
Yeah. Well, and not just that, like kind of leading into it, and he's like, kind of like, "Where's your wife?" Like, because he's looking through his wallet. He's like, "Where's your wife? How'd she die? Why'd she die? Why aren't you a man of faith anymore?" Et cetera, et cetera. And I think that a lot of people deal with that. They go through those circumstances and they do lose, their faith of choice.
Later on, Signs reminded me of that a little bit.
It did,
for that matter, and I was just like, holy crap, because I watched them not too far from each other for that matter.
Every time I watch not Signs, but every time I think about Signs or that, I think about Scary Movie 3 when he's like, your wife's pinned up against the car, and he's like, well, is she okay? She's like, no. He's like, well, is the top half or the bottom half? Like,
dude,
it's so bad.
Hat. It's the hat for me, the growing hat.
Yeah, it's so bad, but it's so good.
Don't forget your foil tin caps next week, guys, since we are talking Signs.
Oh, yeah. Holy crap, I did.
Yeah, that's next week, dude. That's
shit.
Time's flying by.
So you get the turn, the Selma Hayek dance. And then you get the after that you get the turn. What do you guys think of just the whole brawl, the ending, not really the ending, but just the middle scene of, you have the
who was the big black dude? What movies has he been in?
He's been in a lot of like zombie movies. He's like a really big horror. Like,
was he in Dawn of the Dead?
He was
in the early 2000s.
He wasn't in Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead. I think he was in. What was he in? He was in something different. He's been in some zombie movies. Yeah. He was in Vegas Vampires. He's been in a lot of like B-rated horror movies.
What about the white dude with the 80s porn stash and
Sex Machine?
Yes, Sex Machine.
He honestly, he is the original makeup artist for the original Friday the 13th movie. He's a big time makeup and special effects artist and stuntman. But he does stuntman movies for like, he was in Dawn of the Dead. He's in Machete. He's in a lot of Robert Rodriguez films.
I swear dude was in Jay and Silent Bob.
He might have been in something like that as well. He's a big time famous makeup artist.
Let me see. What was his name?
Oh, Tom Savini.
And then the FBI agent, how awesome was that? The one who was on the TV a lot, played by John Saxton, is the original dad from A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Huh.
So some fun stuff in this movie. Did you guys see the scene where not Val Kilmer, but George Clooney became Batman when the bats were following him? I'm like, oh, that's just a year before Batman versus Robin. That's how George Clooney became Batman. What do you guys think of some of the changes? Richie dies. Selma Hayek, bites his neck off, and he changes. Jacob dies. Harvey Keitel's character, he gets changed into. Did you guys have a favorite character / turned into a vampire? The way they looked. Tom Savini looked a little crazy. Sex Machine looked like he was a crazy, creepy looking vampire. My favorite, honestly, he did look really, really weird and grotesque, was Frost, the black guy. He did look pretty sick and gruesome when he turned into a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh, I recognize Tom Savini from Planet Terror. That's
okay. Or Quentin Tarantino kind of looked like a big-headed Frankenstein when he got turned into a vampire.
I've got to say, I actually liked the band when they turned into a vampire, because they had the band had a guitar and a bass that was made of a human disfigured up. And all kinds, because I think it shows them for like 10 seconds total.
And it's
holy crap.
Every time it kind of cuts to them after something gets kind of flown their way and everything. It's funny because that's,
their comedy relief in the whole thing.
In that kind of setting, like the band still plays, like, the band plays when the Titanic's going down. The band plays in the shootouts or whatever. Like they're sitting there and they're doing their job, and when everything's all said and done, they're just like,
the show must go on.
We're done. They just blow themselves up.
That'd be mine.
Man, I can't really think about which one would be my favorite. when he's changed.
Very simple movie though. I just like movies like this that's just fun. Like you don't have to think about anything. You can just sit back and just enjoy what's happening in front of you. What
Enjoy
about
is a strong word.
Yeah? Did you guys have any big nitpicks or hates about this movie?
I mean, some of the actors were just kind of questionable, but I mean, other than that, no, I've always kind of liked it. And maybe it's because I've seen it first when I was a kid.
Yeah,
maybe, but I mean,
Craig, this was your first time watch, man. By all means, like, did you have anything that you were just like, this is not enjoyable?
After thinking about it, initially watching the movie, I was just like, there's no way in hell I'm ever watching this movie again. Like this 180 turn from what was a good prison break, money heist, kidnapping, escaping to Mexico. Like I was like, okay, I'm in. This is a good movie, good direction. Then they get to the bar and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a little weird. Then I see Danny Trejo and I'm like, all right, shit's really about to start going down. It was just like it felt like it was serious for the first hour or so, and then they were just like, he was just like, all right, guys, no bars, no, whatever that term is, no held bars or whatever,
no holds barred.
But, yes, it was just like anything goes at this point, and they literally anything goes. The dude's got the bat and the shotgun, and and I'm like, it's so cheesy, it's so. And maybe that's the fun in it. It's like, they did give you a really good first half of the movie, and then the second half is just like, just watch it and let it go.
Yeah.
And it was unique. I'll definitely say that because I did not expect anything in that second half to happen that way. So I will applaud them in that.
And like I said, I've revisited this quite a few times, especially when I have my little Quentin Tarantino binge. I know he didn't write it or direct it, but I still have it with my Quentin Tarantino movies. But I'm like, you know what? Watching it today, I was like, man, the first 50 minutes, phenomenal. It was solid. Yeah, and then I'm not gonna say I hated the vampire scene because that's initially what the movie is. It's a horror cowboy flick, but like the second half, I'm like, I feel like it dragged just a little too much. If I'm giving my honest personal opinion about the movie now. Like I could have been like, okay, how about this be an hour and 10-minute heist prison break movie, and then the last 25 minutes be vampires.
Well, I think what one way to kind of shorten all that up is when he gets to the bar, it is close to being the morning time, and so he's already met his guy, and they're about to exchange the money, and then they smell the blood on Richie's hands. And then the vampires change, and you kind of have a shootout before they all go. I think that would shorten it. I think the whole dad being out in the bar while they're hiding in the back, and him coming back and then plotting to come back out. I think that was another 15 minutes. That was probably a little bit too long, but
or the scene where Sex Machine turns into a vampire, and you have Frost explaining his war background.
Yeah,
I think that was maybe like 8 minutes too long.
There's a lot of little things here and there that push this movie to be a little bit longer than it should have. Yeah.
But overall, I think it's a fun classic 1996 horror action flick. After the big shootout at the end, Harvey Keitel he passes and he turns into a vampire. He kills Scott, and then Scott's death is kind of kill me, Kate, kill me.
Yeah.
And then she barely shoots him and his entire body just explodes. I liked the temple ending. Would you guys change anything about all the use of the practical effects and the makeup, or did you think, me personally, I enjoyed all the makeup and all the blood just being spewed everywhere?
I agree with that. I mean, I think it did its job as, it needed to, because I mean, honestly, like, this thing could have gone a lot worse for that matter, but I think it just did itself justice as much as it needed to.
Other than that, you have the ending. Another Cheech Martin character comes in and was like, "You wanted to meet the morning."
It's number 4, I think. because he's the border patrol guy, the guy at the front,
one of the vampires,
and then he's one of the vampires because he's the guy at the front.
Yeah, so there's 3 Cheech Martins in the movie.
3.
But what'd you think? I mean, throughout the whole movie, you hear George Clooney, Seth saying he's given 30%. Now that the ending is the ending, and he's lost Richie, now he only gets 15%. Did you guys like? I kind of felt like Juliette Lewis's character, Kate, should have went with George Clooney at the end because she teases, she's like, "Do you want some company?" And he's like, "Just go home." But she don't have a home to go to. Her entire family is dead. He even mentions it, like her entire family is dead.
His entire family's dead.
Yeah, why not?
It would be, but I think at the same time, I think it was. If they would have, I think it might have been perceived as being a little creepy.
Yeah,
so that's why he was like, "Nah, you just need to go." And because I mean, honestly, if that were to happen, it with the way Richie talked to her and kind of the whole way, it would have felt like they were kind of grooming for that to happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I will go with that one too, because I mean, honestly, like I think that shows the difference between him and his brother Richie.
Yeah, Richie would have taken her absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Seth is like, I know my limits. We've been through too much. We just need to be done with this.
Like, no matter how like tempting it is to have company, not in that way, I'm good.
Also, I think he probably was just like, you're not my type if you know what like.
Oh yeah.
He's way into like the Salma Hayek kind.
Makes sense.
The people at the bar. So
yeah. Makes sense. Favorite scene? Do you guys have a favorite scene from Dusk Till Dawn?
I actually have a favorite scene and a favorite quote for that matter.
Go for it.
So the scene is kind of like whenever they start turning, that one is just kind of a nuts, just crazy chaotic scene. So I mean, you've got things happening in all different directions behind, the scene, like in the background of the scene and all kinds of different stuff. You've got everything going off. For that matter, a quote is kind of the quote that he says in the morning. Like, I don't care how psycho they are, or I don't care how crazy they are, psychos don't blow up when sunlight hits them.
Yeah.
That one is just, I don't know why, but that one was gold to me.
It's funny.
If I had to pick a favorite scene, I would probably pick the opening convenience store scene, which is always fun.
It was very No Country for Old Men. Yeah.
Set the tone of the film, especially the way that the clerk died with Richie blowing out the bottles and George Clooney throwing out the paper towel or the toilet paper. And then honestly, my second favorite scene would probably be Craig, you mentioned the conversation with everybody at the table when they were having drinks. I'm not drinking alone. And then obviously the ending. I love the vampire blowout. Craig, what about you? Favorite scene?
Yeah, I'll agree with you. I think the opening scene was really, if they would have taken the movie, like just made it that the whole way through, I think you have a movie in itself. But they went the route that they did, and it still works out for them in the long run. But I think the opening scene was good, and I liked when the dude takes the thing from Sex Machine and he's like, "Nuh-uh," or he pulls out the knife and he's like, "I wouldn't do that." And then the crotch gun opens up. I was just like this dude's been planning Planet Terror for years with the machine gun leg. Like it was just you could just. It's like Robert Rodriguez was like, we're going to make this heist movie and it's going to be awesome. And then we're going to get to Mexico and it's going to be my film.
Yeah.
And it was completely not what I expected. So yeah, I mean, the whole movie was kind of a trip. So
not what you expected. Putting you on the spot. Star rating 1 out of 10.
6.
Edward?
You know, I'm gonna have to go for a 7. Probably more nostalgic reasons than anything for that matter. Just seeing it when I was younger, but yeah, I like it. So 7.
Not to match the star I have right here, but I'm gonna give it 7 stars as well. I think this movie is fun. You sit back. It's an action horror popcorn flick. Have fun with it. Don't think too much about it, and enjoy some vampires getting blown up and some good dialogue between Harvey Keitel and George Clooney. Yeah.
But you know what's awesome about this is it's almost a 30-year-old movie, and I still spoiler free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Spoiler free.
Yeah.
Except for the one quote, but you know.
Well, yeah, but I didn't even know that was in this movie. So when it happened, it was still spoiler free because I didn't know it was going to come.
Yeah,
that's awesome though.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Like, a movie that old, first time watch for you, and you had fun with it. I mean, that's what we've always had fun here on the podcast doing. Speaking of what we have coming up for October, guys, the entire month of October is dedicated to horror thriller movies. Next week, October the 3rd, we're talking about the 20th anniversary of Signs. October the 10th, Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors. October 17th, we go back to the theater. We check out Halloween Ends. October 24th, The Bone Collector, Denzel Washington thriller movie. And October 31st, we're talking about the return of Michael Myers, Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. So October is going to be jam-packed. I can't wait for it. And then the entire month of November, guys, is going to be dedicated to Denzel Washington. Besides Black Panther 2. So should be a fun week. But yeah, send us in your star rating of From Dusk Till Dawn. We already have a few of them sent in. So now it's time for me to read the email bag.
The mail's here.
So again, if you guys want to send in your emails, send them in. Doesn't matter how you send it, social media or email, send it in and I'll read some of them. Again, busy week last week and this week, so I'm going to touch on some of them this week. Sorry if I didn't get to all of them last week or any of them at all. I will get to most of them and then email back. Again, if you want to email us, send us an email at cinemen921@gmail.com. Nathaniel said, From Dusk Till Dawn is an instant classic. Such a joy to watch. 9 stars. Henry says,
okay.
Pearl was much better of a film than X was. I really appreciate the review and the show last week. Very good listen.
We'll agree on that.
Pearl gets a 9 from Henry. Kendall says, I could watch Dawn of the Dead over and over again. I absolutely loved the latest episode of Friday the 14th podcast. I don't know if they take requests, but I would love to hear a review of number 23 with Jim Carrey.
Oh.
I forgot Jim Carrey was in a horror movie.
Yeah. Decent one, too.
Yeah. I've never seen it, honestly.
Oh.
Yeah, shoot. I need to check it. I should try to check it out. Jeffrey, here's a good one. He's asking all of us. Hocus Pocus 2 comes out this weekend. Are you guys going to watch and give like a mini review about it next week, or does it not even interest you at all?
It interests me. I'm probably going to go. Possibly going to go see it.
I feel like
it's not going to be in theaters. You just watch it at home at Disney Plus.
No.
Well, I feel like Signs is going to be a pretty girthy episode. With just how, I think we all fairly like the movie, so we'll probably dive in a little bit more. Stop it.
Satri should be joining us back next week too, so we should have 4 different reviews of Signs.
Oh, he wants to come back for Signs?
Yeah.
Welcome back, Zach. Tell him he doesn't get to do Signs. He has to watch. Because he didn't want to watch that one, did he? The Hocus Pocus 2? Or was he excited for it?
No, I don't even think he's seen the first one. Or did he join us for that? I'm not sure.
That would be funny if, like, yeah, Zach, you can come next week, but you have to do a mini Hocus Pocus review.
I think I'm the only one who's probably like kind of excited about it.
I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna watch it for sure. But I'll talk about it next. I'll talk about it next week.
It's spooky season, of course. Yeah. Like Friday the 13th, all those are gonna start. Yeah.
So good email by Jeffrey. Yeah, we will talk about Hocus Pocus 2 next week. Darren says Pearl was quite the little gem that I hoped it would be. I will gladly see it again. 8 stars. Pearl, probably one of the best horror films I've seen this year.
I do still plan on going to see it.
It's not bad. It's about an hour and 40 minutes.
Definitely better than X. I'll agree.
Sarah 97 says always enjoy From Dusk Till Dawn, and this past rewatch was no different. Can't wait to hear you guys' thoughts. As always, 9 stars from Sarah 97 from Dusk Till Dawn. Eric talking about our top 5 from last week. Eric, my top 5 horror prequel movies: Red Dragon number 5, Pearl number 4, Prey number 3, Alien Covenant number 2, and even though this is a TV show, number 1 is Bates Motel. Sam G69 says just seen Pearls in theaters this past weekend. It was okay, nothing special, nothing eye-opening about it, but it was better than X. 7 stars.
That's kind of the consensus right now, is that it's never like the best ever, but it's definitely better than that one.
Lawrence says, I'm really excited to hear you guys review From Dusk Till Dawn. In my mind, it's an underrated vampire flick with great special effects and a good story. Love this film. 9 stars.
There we go.
This one's from Omar. Says, I can't wait to hear the review of See No Evil this Wednesday on Friday the 14th. What a low-key good horror movie. Kind of has Blumhouse vibes for sure. I would give it 8 stars. And yes, Wednesday we are talking See No Evil with Kane for the horror review this Wednesday. Barry says, if you could give From Dusk Till Dawn a reboot, who would you cast as Seth and Richie?
Ooh.
Ryan Gosling?
Ryan Gosling as Seth?
Richie.
Oh, Richie.
I think he could play a kind of calm, but also kind of on the edge.
Yeah.
And then for Seth,
see, I would almost go opposite. I would say Ryan Gosling as Seth, because he's the calmer, the more. So Ryan Gosling is Seth, and then
Evan Peters says Richie, bro.
No, he's done too many roles like that. He can't keep getting away with this.
That's the only one that comes to mind, man.
That's a good question, but I feel like there's somebody out there.
Maybe we can think about it and answer it next week.
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, guys, that's the review for From Dusk Till Dawn. Again, email us your star ratings and your favorite scenes, your top 5 Robert Rodriguez movies. You guys already have. Again, I just have to get in that email bag and just open them up and read them and respond. Other than that, guys, 20th anniversary of Signs next week. Are you guys excited for Signs next Monday?
Ooh. Yeah. Jake Gyllenhaal as Richie?
Jake Gyllenhaal would make a good Richie. I like that. Yeah. That'd be good. So
hey, I'd watch that.
Next subject matter, next Monday, October the 3rd, 20th anniversary of Signs. Mel Gibson, Joaquin Phoenix. I think it's going to be a fun episode. Again, it's only a movie I've seen once or twice. Wasn't the biggest fan of the world in it, but I'm looking forward for the rewatch just to kind of open up my mind and give you guys a good show next week. So, and we welcome back Zach next week. So we'll have all 4 of us hopefully next Monday, October the 3rd. Spooky season begins with Signs. You guys excited?
Yeah, because I haven't seen it in a while. I'm excited. I haven't normally been excited for spooky season, but this year I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna dive all the way in.
I don't know how long it's been since I've seen it. I don't know.
Should be fun. Episode 213 next Monday. Signs. But as far as From Dusk Till Dawn,
3.
Ed, anything else? Anything else you want to add to From Dusk Till Dawn before we get it out of here?
Nah, man. Honestly, like it. Simple as that. Nostalgia. Ready for Signs. Another nostalgic movie. 20 years. So hyped for that. So yeah, this is Ed saying I'll see you on the silver screen.
Craig, what about you? Anything you want to add from Dusk Till Dawn, or are you on to Signs next Monday?
On to Signs. I'm gonna leave it be. I obviously people have nostalgia for From Dusk Till Dawn. First time watch is still kind of in my brain, so I'll leave it be. But yeah, I'm excited for next week. It's been a while since I've seen Signs.
We say goodbye to September and we open up with October with Signs. Spooky season is on its way. Enjoy your week, guys. Thank you for joining us. See you next Monday for a new episode of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. Go Cowboys.
All day on.